Hey everyone, and welcome to Anime Dreams. Today, we're diving into an exciting fanfic scenario. What if Naruko was born an Uchiha? Imagine the possibilities. How would her life change? How would the Uchiha clan shape her destiny? Let's explore this thrilling what if together. Disclaimer: this channel is dedicated to entertainment and discussion. I do not own any of the anime footage used. Full credit goes to the original creators and copyright holders. Now, without further ado, let's jump right in. Nephew, come over here. Come and meet Naruko. Minato called out, his voice filled with excitement and joy as he gazed at his newborn daughter. Shisui didn't need to be told twice. He quickly stepped forward, eager to see his newly arrived cousin. A warm smile spread across his face as he looked at Naruko, taking in her delicate features. Her jet black hair, accented with streaks of fiery red, was a clear reflection of her mother, Kushina Uzumaki. Like every Uchiha, Naruko had dark eyes, yet hers appeared even deeper and more intense than any he had ever seen. "She's truly unique, uncle," Shisui exclaimed with enthusiasm. Naruko bore a striking resemblance to Minato, the fourth Hokage, yet hints of Kushina's features shone through as well. No other Uchiha had ever shared her distinct appearance, as none before her carried both Uchiha and Uzumaki lineage, nor did any possess the unusual whisker-like marks on their cheeks. She was, without a doubt, one of a kind. Minato beamed with pride. "That she is," he agreed before turning to Kushina. "Here you go, my love," he said tenderly, carefully placing their daughter into her arms. Despite her exhaustion from childbirth, Kushina's expression transformed into pure joy as she cradled Naruko. Holding her daughter filled her with renewed energy, and she gazed at her lovingly. Minato wrapped his arms around Kushina in a gentle embrace, sharing in the beautiful moment. "Hello there, Naru," Kushina cooed softly, her voice carrying a sing-song tone. "It's your mother speaking to you." Though tired, her love and excitement far outweighed her fatigue. Minato's smile widened as he turned to Shisui. "Come, Shisui, let's take a photo together. You should be in it," he said, motioning for his nephew to join them. Shisui's parents had passed away during the war when he was just 5 years old. Since then, Minato had taken him in, and over the years, their bond had grown into one akin to that of father and son. The simple invitation to be part of the family photo reassured Shisui that their connection remained just as strong, even with Naruko's arrival. If he were to be honest, Shisui had harbored a quiet fear that with Naruko's birth, he might be pushed aside or forgotten. But now, standing there with Minato's hand resting firmly on his shoulder, all those worries melted away, replaced by a deep sense of belonging and happiness. Without hesitation, he stepped forward, positioning himself in the middle of the family. Kushina held Naruko securely in her arms, Minato's left arm wrapped protectively around her, while his right hand rested on Shisui's shoulder. Their smiles radiated warmth and joy, though Naruko, half asleep, seemed blissfully unaware of the moment. "Uncle, I can't wait for her to grow up. There will be so many things we can do together," Shisui said eagerly, already envisioning the adventures that lay ahead. Minato chuckled. "That's a wonderful thought, but don't be too quick to look ahead. Cherish every moment as it comes. Don't take anything for granted, thinking another moment will be more significant. You never know when a moment will pass, and once it's gone, you can't go back to it." Shisui nodded thoughtfully. "Yeah. I suppose you're right. Still, as adorable as she is now, it'll be even more fun when she's older," he said with a grin, gently wiggling his index finger near Naruko's tiny hands. She sleepily reached out, attempting to grasp it, making him chuckle. "Kushina, you must be exhausted. Get some rest." "I'll take Naruko," Minato offered as he noticed her suppressing a yawn. Kushina nodded, her exhaustion finally catching up with her. They were in a secure hideout, surrounded by protective seals and Onbu operatives. The space was far from the comfort of their home, but it was a necessary precaution. During childbirth, the seal containing the Kyuubi naturally weakened, requiring extra security measures. Only a select few, including the third Hokage and a handful of trusted individuals, knew the location and timing of Naruko's birth. The third Hokage, both an advisor and a close friend to Minato, had ensured his wife, an expert medical professional, led the procedure. Their presence provided an additional layer of reassurance. If the Kyuubi were ever to break free, it was understood that no single individual could subdue it alone. The carefully designed seals surrounding the hideout and the delivery chamber were created not only to contain the Kyuubi but also to steadily drain its chakra, ensuring the safety of everyone within. As Kushina drifted into much-needed rest, Minato gently cradled Naruko in his arms, his heart overflowing with love and determination. The road ahead would be challenging, but at this moment, all that mattered was his family, their bond, their love, and the bright future awaiting them. Upon re-entering the physical world, the entity would be in a weakened state. To prevent it from regaining its strength, a continuous drain on its chakra was implemented. This strategy aimed to ensure that it would never fully recover, allowing for the possibility of resealing it into another host if Kushina was unable to contain it again. However, given the immense power of the Kyuubi, the most formidable of the tailed beasts, there was no certainty in whether such measures would truly be effective. Historically, only one person had ever possessed the ability to completely subdue the Kyuubi, the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. While Madara Uchiha could manipulate or even temporarily control the beast using his Sharingan's genjutsu, this method was not a permanent solution. Hashirama, on the other hand, could restrain the Kyuubi with his would-release techniques, rendering it powerless. Despite this capability, he never sought to dominate the tailed beasts, instead believing in balance rather than control. Minato's presence provided an opportunity to reseal the Kyuubi. If that failed, he could at least use his Sharingan to buy enough time for everyone to escape before teleporting Kushina, Naruko, Shisui, and himself back to the village. Unlike Madara's, Minato's Sharingan lacked the strength to fully control the Kyuubi, and no Uchiha of the current era possessed a Sharingan capable of completely subjugating it. Only two individuals, Minato and Fugaku, had the ability to momentarily immobilize the beast, but even that came at great risk. Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan allowed him to control it for a brief period, but doing so would nearly deplete his chakra, making it a perilous move. Shisui, despite his young age, displayed exceptional potential. Regarded as one of the most gifted Uchiha of his generation, he had awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan 3 years prior at the remarkable age of 7, the youngest ever to do so. His talent extended far beyond his dojutsu, as he was a true master of the Shunshin technique, excelling in rapid movement to a degree unmatched in battle. Additionally, his mastery over fire release techniques was extraordinary, as he could perform most with a single hand seal. His prowess in genjutsu was unparalleled, making him one of the strongest shinobi of his clan. Minato, on the other hand, had yet to unlock his Mangekyo Sharingan and used his Sharingan sparingly. Unlike many Uchiha, who relied on their dojutsu in every battle, Minato viewed it as a tool rather than a necessity. Overdependence on the Sharingan often led to its users relying too heavily on its abilities, turning what should be an advantage into a limitation. As Minato gently took Naruko from Kushina's arms, he placed a tender kiss on her forehead before shifting his attention toward Shisui. In that moment, both of them sensed an unfamiliar presence, someone who should not have been there. "Who are you? What is your purpose here?" Minato asked, his gaze sharp and unwavering as he confronted the intruder. The figure before them wore an orange mask and a loose-fitting cloak with the hood drawn up. Though his features remained obscured, the aura he exuded was undeniably malicious. His mere presence suggested that the Anbu would not be arriving anytime soon, either incapacitated or worse. Minato remained still, carefully assessing the situation. Kushina, still recovering, was in no condition to fight, and he held Naruko in his arms. Protecting them both was his priority. Without breaking eye contact with the masked figure, he spoke calmly yet firmly. "Shisui, take Naruko. I can't afford to take any risks here. I will join you shortly." Before Shisui could protest or insist on staying to assist, Minato swiftly teleported him and Naruko to their home. Now alone with the masked man, Minato felt slightly more at ease knowing Naruko was safe. However, With Kushina still present, his concern remained. Given that the intruder had made no attempt to pursue Naruko, it was likely that his true objective was the Kyuubi. If that was the case, Minato positioned himself between the masked man and Kushina, drawing one of his specialized kunai. That technique won't help you. Fourth Hokage, the masked man spoke in a deep, measured tone. Minato remained unfazed. He had no interest in the man's words, only in safeguarding those he cared for. Without hesitation, he launched his kunai directly at the intruder. Yet, to his astonishment, the weapon passed straight through the figure as if he were intangible. This isn't a clone. He's real. So how did my attack phase through him? Minato thought, his mind racing to decipher the mystery. Not willing to waste a moment, he teleported to the kunai's location, attempting a swift slash at the masked man. But once again, his blade cut through nothing but air. This doesn't make sense. What is happening? Minato pondered as he faced an adversary who seemed untouchable. The masked man let out a chuckle. Too easy. Beneath them, the ground began to glow ominously. Minato's eyes widened in realization just as the explosion erupted from the concealed tags. Reacting instantly, he teleported to a safer location within the forest outside the hideout. When did he place those seals? How does his intangibility work? And what exactly is he planning? Minato pondered as he rose from his crouched landing position, his gaze fixed on the hideout. The protective seals had vanished, and the Anbu operatives lay motionless on the ground. While they were still alive, it was clear they wouldn't be able to fight for at least a few days. What truly unsettled Minato, however, was the sudden disappearance of the tracking mark he had placed on Kushina. Normally, he could sense it no matter the distance, whether she was alive or not, the marker should have remained. The fact that he could no longer feel it only reinforced his suspicion. This was the masked man's goal all along. He wanted to separate Minato from Kushina, likely as part of a plan to unleash the Nine Tails. Minutes later, relief washed over Minato as he finally sensed the marker reappear. Without hesitation, he teleported to its location. What he saw sent a chill down his spine. The Nine Tails had been freed. Its massive form loomed over Kushina, its eyes bearing the unmistakable pattern of the Sharingan. In an instant, Minato grabbed her weakened body and vanished again, reappearing atop the treetops. As fast as ever, I see, the masked man remarked before vanishing into the void once more. Minato turned to Kushina, his face filled with concern. Kushina, are you all right? Her complexion was pale, her energy nearly depleted. He knew the grim reality: when a Jinchuriki loses their tailed beast, death is usually inevitable. The only reason she was still holding on was because of her Uzumaki heritage. If he could reseal the Nine Tails in time, its chakra might heal her. But if too much time passed, the separation would become irreversible. Determined, Minato teleported to their home. The moment he arrived, Shisui stood up, alarmed by his sudden appearance and the fragile state of Kushina in his arms. Here, lie beside Naruko, Kushina, Minato said gently, laying her down next to their daughter. Then, grabbing his vest and Hokage cloak, he steeled himself. I'll be back shortly, he promised before teleporting to the Hokage monument overlooking the village. A few moments earlier, the masked man emerged just outside the village, his presence eerie and foreboding. Summoning jutsu, he intoned, slamming his palm onto the ground. In an explosion of smoke, the massive form of the Nine Tails appeared. Its fierce eyes glowed ominously as it roared into the night. Destroy everything, the masked man commanded. Without hesitation, the Nine Tails began gathering a tailed beast bomb, aiming it at the Hokage monument. The resulting explosion would not only obliterate the monument but also the Hokage building and the intelligence headquarters in one devastating strike. But before it could reach its target, the attack struck a massive ceiling barrier. The energy was absorbed and redirected, causing a distant explosion far from the village. The impact was still visible and loud, but the village remained intact. I need to be careful where I send those attacks, Minato thought, appearing on the monument. He barely had a moment to collect himself before the masked man warped into existence before him. Without hesitation, the masked man activated his technique, attempting to warp Minato away. Just as he was about to be pulled into the void, there was a flash of yellow. Minato had escaped. He's faster than my Kamui, the masked man mused. Minato flipped midair and landed on his back, breathing heavily. That ability. What exactly is it? He can teleport without seals and even send others away. Where would I have ended up? The mystery surrounding the masked man's techniques only deepened Minato's concern. First, he was intangible. Now, he can transport people. Could the two abilities be connected? His thoughts were interrupted as the masked man appeared before him once more. You are truly fast, Yondaime, he admitted. However, this is the end for you. He pulled out a chain, connecting it to his wrists. The links dangled ominously behind him. Minato observed his movements carefully. Whenever the masked man attacked, he would become intangible, allowing enemy strikes to pass through him harmlessly. However, when he needed to land a hit, he had to become solid, making him briefly vulnerable. So he cannot attack while intangible. But that chain is dangerous. If I try to strike him, he'll phase through me, then solidify and use the chain to cut me down. Despite the danger, Minato tightened his grip on his kunai. Both warriors charged at each other, their battle beginning in earnest. Back at the village. Lord Third. The Nine Tails is attacking. An Anbu captain reported urgently to Hiruzen, who was already preparing for battle. I can sense it. Go inform the Uchiha to assist in evacuating the civilians. Once everyone is safe, they should join the fight. Deploy all available shinobi, but ensure that the younger generation is placed within a protective barrier. We cannot afford to lose them, Hiruzen instructed as he completed his preparations. Understood. The three Anbu responded in unison before vanishing to carry out their orders. Hiruzen arrived at the village gates, where a Jonin quickly briefed him on the situation. We must hold back the Nine Tails until the fourth Hokage arrives. Hiruzen commanded, summoning his adamantine staff. The staff, nearly indestructible and capable of expanding without limit, became a vital tool in pushing the Nine Tails away from the village. The other ninja relentlessly launched various jutsu to aid in the effort. Progress was slow and arduous, but they managed to make some headway. They all understood that defeating a tailed beast permanently was impossible. These creatures were pure chakra given form, making them immortal. Even if sealed within a Jinchuriki, their destruction would only be temporary, as they would eventually reform over time. Their sole objective was to keep the Nine Tails away from the village and hope that the fourth Hokage could devise a solution. Minato versus the Masked Man. The battle between Minato and the masked adversary had been ongoing for several minutes, with neither able to land a decisive strike. The masked man could phase through attacks, while Minato's speed made him nearly untouchable. Minato stole a quick glance toward the village, where flashes of light from jutsu illuminated the night, and the roars of the Nine Tails echoed through the air. He turned his focus back to his opponent. What an interesting predicament you're in, the masked man mused. As Hokage, your duty is to protect the village, yet you cannot afford to let me go, can you? Minato narrowed his eyes. This has gone on long enough. I'll have to use Flying Thunder God, level 2. Without hesitation, Minato sprinted forward, hurling a marked kunai at the masked man. The weapon phased through the man's head, as expected. At the same time, the masked man raised a hand to strike, while Minato charged a Rasengan. As they closed the distance, just before the kunai fully passed through, Minato teleported to it, catching it mid-air. Twisting his body fluidly, he slammed the Rasengan into the masked man's back. The impact sent the masked man crashing into the ground. He winced from the unexpected blow, realizing too late that a Flying Thunder God seal had been placed on him. He teleported. To the kunai? The masked man thought, struggling to rise. It's time to finish this. The village needs me, Minato declared. In a flash of yellow, He appeared directly in front of the masked man and pressed a hand against his chest. A sealing formula formed and glowed before Minato leapt back. A contract seal? The masked man muttered in realization. You can no longer control the Nine Tails, Minato stated before vanishing in another golden flash, returning to the village. The village. The battle raged on, and the Hidden Leaf village was struggling to withstand the overwhelming power of the Nine Tails. The shinobi fought valiantly, but the immense strength of the beast was proving to be too much. Desperation began to set in as hope started to wane. Then, in an instant, a brilliant golden flash illuminated the battlefield. From above, Gamabunta descended forcefully, landing atop the Nine Tails. A wave of relief and cheers spread among the villagers as the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, made his long-awaited arrival. Lord Fourth. What's the plan? Hiruzen Sarutobi called out from the ground. I'm going to teleport it away from the village, Minato declared with determination. But it will take time to transport something of this size. Gamabunta, I need you to hold it down. Without hesitation, Minato began preparing for the complex teleportation. He was already drained from using an immense amount of chakra, first to deflect the tailed beast bomb and then to execute the advanced version of the Flying Thunder God technique. His earlier battle had further exhausted his reserves, but he knew he had no choice but to see this through. You need to hurry. I can't hold it back much longer. Gamabunta called out, struggling to restrain the immense power of the Nine Tails. Moments later, a brilliant flash of yellow light illuminated the battlefield, and suddenly, both Minato and the Nine Tails had vanished. He did it. He saved us. A relieved shinobi exclaimed. Cheers erupted among the warriors, their spirits lifted by the apparent victory. However, Hiruzen Sarutobi remained cautious. He turned to a group of Anbu, his voice calm but firm. We must locate the fourth Hokage immediately and offer our assistance. He chose his words carefully, not wanting to dampen the morale of the exhausted shinobi. The battle had taken a heavy toll, and they had lost many comrades. Minato and the Nine Tails. Far from the village, but still within the land of fire, Minato assessed the situation. He observed that the Nine Tails no longer displayed the sinister Sharingan pattern in its eyes and appeared momentarily stunned. I need to act quickly. Kushina will have to help me with the sealing. Naruko, I'm so sorry, he murmured, determination etched across his face. Without hesitation, Minato teleported Kushina, their infant daughter Naruko, and Shisui Uchiha to his location. Turning to his wife, he instructed her to erect a powerful chakra barrier around them and use her chakra chains to restrain the Nine Tails. These chains, forged from her unique Uzumaki lineage, were indestructible and could drain chakra, making them one of the few things capable of holding such a powerful entity in place. As Minato began the intricate preparations for the sealing ritual, he turned to Shisui with a solemn request. Shisui, I need you to watch over Naruko. She will face many hardships in the years to come. Be a guiding light for her, no matter what challenges arise. Shisui's eyes glistened with unshed tears as he held the infant protectively. I swear on my life, uncle. I will protect her, he vowed, his voice unwavering. When everything was set, he gently laid Naruko down on a small makeshift bed. Minato swiftly performed the hand seals to summon the Reaper Death Seal. The Nine Tails, realizing what was happening, roared in defiance and lashed out, attempting to strike baby Naruko with a massive claw. However, both Minato and Kushina instinctively threw themselves in front of their daughter, shielding her with their bodies. The claw pierced through them, yet they held firm, refusing to let it reach Naruko. Despite his injuries, Minato completed the summoning and began the sealing process. Using the 8 trigram seal, he transferred the Nine Tails chakra into Naruko. The ritual was completed, and the great beast's presence faded. However, the consequences of the Reaper Death Seal were irreversible. Minato had only moments left, and Kushina, though slightly stronger, was also fading fast. Minato turned to his wife, sorrow evident in his eyes. Is there anything you want to say to Naruko before we go? He asked, his voice heavy with emotion. Tears streamed down Kushina's face, but she smiled through them, her heart filled with love for her daughter. "There's so much I want to tell you, Naruko," she whispered. "I love you more than words can say. I want you to be happy, no matter what life throws your way. It won't be easy, I know that. But never give up. Being a Jinchuriki is a lonely path, but I hope you find friends who will cherish you. Hold them close and never let them go. They will be your light in the darkness." She let out a soft laugh, despite the pain. "You'll have your cousin Shisui looking after you, and one day, you'll meet Jiraiya too. But please, don't pick up his bad habits," she added with a teasing smile before growing serious again. "Always be respectful and kind. Be strong, but never lose your heart." Her breath trembled as she looked at her daughter one last time. "I wish I could stay with you. Teach you. Watch you grow. Naruko, my sweet girl, I love you." She turned her gaze to Minato, regret flashing in her eyes. "I'm sorry. I've taken up all your time," she whispered. As their strength faded, their love for their daughter remained, leaving behind a legacy of sacrifice, hope, and an unbreakable will. Minato offered a warm smile and gently embraced her. "It's all right. Naruko, listen to your mother and try to be considerate with Shisui, okay? Don't cause too much mischief. He's still young, and this will be a challenge, but I believe in both of you." Kushina's eyes brimmed with tears as she looked at him. "How can you be so sure everything will be all right?" Minato smiled reassuringly. "Because she is my daughter." He then turned to Shisui. "Shisui, I regret that I won't be able to stay by your side any longer. Please support Naruko through this immense responsibility. I hope the villagers will one day see her as a hero, for without her, the Kyuubi would have destroyed everything." Shisui nodded, unable to speak as his own tears welled up. He had always admired Minato, seeing him as an invincible force, but today proved that even the strongest warriors are not beyond fate. He also came to understand something bittersweet about heroes. They are often seen as figures who will always stand strong, yet in reality, their greatest act of heroism is often their sacrifice. With one final embrace, Minato entrusted everything to them before his strength faded. Kushina wept even harder, mourning the loss of the man she loved. At that moment, Hiruzen arrived with 3 Anbu operatives, his expression darkening at the sight before him, Shisui holding a crying Naruko, Minato lying still, and Kushina barely clinging to consciousness. "Kushina!" Hiruzen rushed to her side. With a weak voice, Kushina spoke. "Minato sealed the Kyuubi within Naruko. Shisui will care for her. Please, help protect her. We wished for her to be seen as a hero for carrying this burden. But if possible, keep it a secret until she has had the chance to make a few friends. I know it's a lot to ask, and I know how difficult it will be." Her voice trailed off as she lost consciousness. Hiruzen nodded solemnly. "Of course, Kushina. I will do everything I can to protect Naruko, for both you and Minato." He rose to his feet and signaled the Anbu to carefully take Minato and Kushina back to the village. Then, placing a reassuring hand on Shisui's shoulder, he spoke. "Shisui, this will be difficult, not just for Naruko, but for you as well. I'm bringing you into the Anbu under my direct command. This way, your missions will be limited, and you'll be stationed within the village to look after her. When she's old enough to care for herself, you may choose whether to return to your previous status or remain in Anbu." Shisui absorbed the weight of those words and then asked, "What about her lineage?" Hiruzen sighed thoughtfully. "No one must know she is Minato's daughter, not until she is strong enough to defend herself." Shisui hesitated. "But if she stays with me?" "Yes, we will need to conceal your connection to Minato as well. Fortunately, your relationship with him was never widely known, and even his marriage to Kushina was kept out of the public eye." Hiruzen's tone was heavy with the burden of secrecy. Protecting Minato's loved ones had required many precautions, and now those same precautions would prevent Naruko from knowing her parents for years to come. Only a select few had been aware that Minato was expecting a child, one of them being Kakashi. "I think Kakashi deserves to know," Shisui said after a moment of thought. He was my uncle's student, and they had a strong bond. He should know what has happened, and I believe he would want to help. Hiruzen nodded. As you wish. Is there anything else you need from me? Shisui hesitated briefly. Where will we go? I can't return to the old estate. His voice was quiet. I'll arrange a home for you both. For now, go to the Hokage's office and wait for me there. Shisui gave a final nod before vanishing in a flicker of movement. Hiruzen exhaled deeply, gazing at the night sky. Minato. I will do everything in my power to fulfill your final wish. Hokage's office. Shisui sat quietly, tears streaming down his face as he held Naruko in his arms. He had lost one part of his family but, in return, gained another. Though the Uchiha clan remained, it was not the same, especially since they were unaware of Naruko's existence. They also had no knowledge that Shisui was the nephew of Minato Namikaze. Fugaku Uchiha had been close friends with Minato, and his wife, Mikoto, shared a deep bond with Kushina Uzumaki. However, Shisui had rarely been present during their gatherings, making his connection to them largely unknown. Minato had chosen to keep Shisui's relationship to him a secret for safety reasons. Aside from Fugaku and Mikoto, only a handful of individuals knew the truth: Hiruzen Sarutobi, Jiraiya, the 3 Hokage guards, and Kakashi Hatake. These select few were also aware that Minato and Kushina were expecting a child. Ultimately, only Kakashi would come to learn of Naruko's existence, while the others remained unaware. Both Kakashi and Shisui were still young. Kakashi was 16, and Shisui only 10. Naruko, I promise to ensure you grow strong and are well cared for, Shisui whispered, his gaze softening as he looked down at her. I know Kakashi will gladly help too. The night came to a close, yet this was only the beginning of the journey that lay ahead. Kakashi strolled through the streets of Konoha, his gaze sweeping over the remnants of the previous night's events. While the village had endured considerable damage, it was evident that things could have been far worse. Even so, the aftermath left an unmistakable sense of sorrow hanging in the air. The extent of the losses remained uncertain, but many had been injured, with some so gravely hurt that their days as shinobi had come to an abrupt end. What weighed most heavily on Kakashi's mind, however, was the absence of his mentor. Since the moment Minato had teleported the 9 tails away, there had been no sign of him. No reports, no explanations, only the knowledge that the beast had been subdued. But Kakashi wasn't naive. If there had been no word of Minato, the reality was painfully clear. Looking up at the Hokage monument, Kakashi's single visible eye welled with emotion. A silent tear traced down his cheek as he came to terms with yet another loss. Another person he had held dear was gone. Hokage's office. Shisui, my apologies for keeping you waiting. Shisui rose to his feet as the 3rd Hokage entered the room. It's no trouble, Lord Third. The council is being convened, they must be informed of what has transpired. This also means Naruko's identity as a Jinchuriki will be revealed. And her parents? Shisui inquired. There is no immediate need for that information to be disclosed. Fugaku is already aware, but no one else needs to know at this time. What if he wishes to take Naruko in? Shisui asked thoughtfully. Hiruzen paused, considering the possibility. It was likely that Fugaku and Mikoto, as close friends of Minato and Kushina, would want to care for their daughter. However, Minato had specifically entrusted Naruko's care to Shisui. Perhaps we should speak with him beforehand. I believe he will honor Minato's wishes, Hiruzen finally responded. Before they could continue, a knock at the door drew their attention. With Hiruzen's permission, the visitor entered. Ah, Kakashi. What a surprise, Hiruzen greeted. He had not been looking forward to this conversation. Kakashi had already endured so much loss in his young life, adding to it would only deepen the burden he carried. Kakashi surveyed the room, his gaze settling on Shisui before drifting to the small infant in his arms. Finally, he looked back at Hiruzen. So? He's gone, Kakashi murmured. Yes, Shisui confirmed softly. This is Naruko. Kakashi had often kept watch over Kushina, having been one of Minato's trusted Onbu guards. That trust had formed naturally, as Minato had once been his sensei. Because of this, Kakashi had known about Naruko's birth before it happened. And she now carries the 9 tails, Shisui added. Kakashi's expression darkened as he looked from the child back to Shisui. What did you just say? Minato sealed the 9 tails within Naruko, with Kushina's help, Shisui clarified. Hiruzen spoke up. Kakashi, I would like you to assist Shisui in training Naruko when she is old enough. Minato entrusted her to the two of you. Without hesitation, Kakashi nodded. I'll do whatever I can to help. A small sense of relief washed over Hiruzen and Shisui. Though Minato's loss was profound, together, they could ensure that Naruko had the guidance and support she needed. For now, Hiruzen said, exhaling slowly, there is still the matter of the council. This will be a long discussion? The council, composed of the heads of the major clans along with a select few from the civilian sector, convened alongside the Hokage's advisors. With Minato's passing, the pressing question of succession arose. Hiruzen understood that he needed to resume the role of Hokage. He was well aware that Danzo could not be trusted with such a position, and no other candidate had the widespread support necessary for the role. Orochimaru had defected, Tsunade had distanced herself from the village following her personal losses, and Jiraiya, deeply invested in his intelligence network, would likely be emotionally unprepared upon learning of the loss of his student and close friend. Among the few remaining candidates for the position of 4th Hokage was Fugaku. While he possessed great strength, his public support did not match that of Minato. However, circumstances had changed, perhaps now he had a better chance. Danzo, on the other hand, had long aspired to the role, driven by an unwavering dedication to Konoha. While his loyalty was unquestioned, his methods remained controversial. Danzo harbored deep suspicion toward the Uchiha clan and would go to great lengths to diminish their influence. The only reason he had never acted against Minato was the certainty that he would not prevail against him. Moreover, Minato had always stood apart from the rest of his clan, which, for some reason, kept him from facing the same level of distrust. Ultimately, Hiruzen's decision to reclaim the title of Hokage would likely receive broad approval, aside from Danzo, of course. However, few would be concerned with his objections. 30 minutes later. Thank you all for gathering this morning. I understand that last night was difficult for everyone, Hiruzen said solemnly. The council members were assembled, including Fugaku Uchiha, Sume Inuzuka, Inoiki Yamanaka, Shibi Aburame, Shikaku Nara, Hyashi Hyuga, and Kuza Akimichi. Alongside them were the village advisors, Danzo, Homura, and Koharu. It is with a heavy heart that I must share more unfortunate news, Hiruzen continued, his gaze distant as he exhaled deeply. The 4th Hokage has passed away during the battle against the 9-tailed beast. A heavy silence settled over the room. The loss of their Hokage meant the village was left vulnerable. The Hokage was not only a leader but the village's strongest protector, its final line of defense. Without one, the village faced great uncertainty. Therefore, I will be resuming my duties as Hokage, Hiruzen declared, bringing the council members out of their thoughts. Danzo clenched his fists but remained silent. He knew this was not the time for objections. While he may have had his own ambitions, he also understood that the village needed stability. Hiruzen's reputation as the god of shinobi was well known, and his return to power would deter any threats to the village. Even in his later years, Hiruzen remained one of the most formidable shinobi in the Land of Fire and beyond. The other council members nodded in agreement, acknowledging that Hiruzen was the best choice to guide the village in this time of crisis. Hiruzen's eyes met Fugaku's, and without speaking a word, he conveyed that they needed to discuss something privately once the meeting concluded. So, what is our next course of action? Asked Hyashi Hyuga, his voice calm and composed. We rebuild, Hiruzen answered simply. With that, the council members began to leave, except for Fugaku. With a small gesture from Hiruzen, the attending Anbu operatives vanished. A private discussion? What about the child that Minato and Kushina were expecting? Fugaku asked directly, skipping any unnecessary formalities. Shisui, step forward, Hiruzen instructed. Emerging from the shadows, Shisui appeared, still holding a small bundle wrapped securely in blankets. They entrusted the nine-tailed beast seal to their daughter. This is Naruko. Fugaku's eyes lingered on the infant before shifting back to Hiruzen. And what do you intend to do? Surely, she will not simply be placed in the orphanage? Shisui will raise her, Hiruzen stated firmly. Fugaku studied Shisui for a moment. He held no ill will toward the young Uchiha, in fact, he had great respect for him. Shisui's abilities were already exceptional, and in time, he would likely surpass even his own. You're still young, Fugaku commented. I am more than capable. Shisui responded, his tone filled with determination. Fugaku chuckled lightly. I wasn't finished. You are still young, but if you ever require assistance, you will have my support. Shisui blinked in surprise, having prepared himself for an argument. Instead, Fugaku had readily given his approval. I assume this was Minato's wish, and if so, I will not oppose it. Mikoto will be saddened by the secrecy, but I understand the necessity. I will not reveal her true heritage to my children. You and your family are welcome to visit her anytime, Fugaku-sama, Shisui assured him. Fugaku offered a small smile. Much appreciated. He then turned back to Hiruzen, his expression contemplative. Minato would not have entrusted his daughter to just anyone. Since Kakashi was not chosen, your connection to him must be even stronger. Hiruzen glanced at Shisui, who gave a small nod of approval. I am Minato's uncle, Shisui revealed. That explains a lot, Fugaku acknowledged. Though, it is curious that you were not present when we arrived. But that is a matter for another time. If there is nothing else, I will return to my family before gathering the police force. You are dismissed, Hiruzen confirmed. With a final nod, Fugaku departed, leaving the room in silence once more. When she had left, Shisui expressed his surprise at how smoothly everything had gone. In the end, both of them were relieved that things had unfolded far more easily than expected. The most unexpected part was Danzo's silence, but Shisui chose not to dwell on it. So, when do you plan to inform the council about Naruko and the Kyuubi? Hopefully, not for a long time. For now, let's get you settled into your new home. After about 10 minutes, they arrived at the house where they would be staying. It was situated on the outskirts of the village, surrounded by approximately 4 acres of land. The distance provided a precautionary measure in case Naruko ever struggled to control the Kyuubi's power. While the hope was to minimize any potential risks, they understood it could only offer so much protection. This will work well. Once she turns 4, I can begin her training, and this space is ideal for it, Shisui remarked. Yes. Though it also serves another purpose. I understand, Sandaime-sama. There's no need to explain. Hiruzen gave a small nod. Additionally, now that you hold the rank of Jonin, we would like you to take on an apprentice. We have someone in mind whom you may find interesting. And who might that be? Shisui asked, raising an eyebrow. Itachi Uchiha, son of Fugaku Uchiha. Itachi Uchiha, huh? Intriguing. Dear YouTube family. That's a wrap for this fanfic, for now. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for more. Thank you for your support. Anime Dreams.